Good morning. My name is Reverend Angela Tyler Williams, and I am delighted to be with you today. As you have heard from Reverend Vanessa, and you'll hear a little bit more later, and you can read in your service program, SACReD is an alliance of religious leaders, congregations, movement organizations, activists, and academics collaborating to advance reproductive justice through congregational education, culture change, community building, and direct service. And the core of SACReD's work is a national designation program where congregations and other faith communities engage in a process of education, reflection, and then a public commitment to reproductive justice. We have created a 7-session curriculum for communities and small groups, and since March of 2022, we have hosted 14 Train the Trainer sessions for over 400 facilitators from 200 congregations in 38 states and 29 religious traditions and denominations. But just wait. I am here today to recognize you, the First Unitarian Universalist Society of San Francisco, as the second ever designated SACReD congregation. In some ways, this is a long time coming. I want to particularly name Judy Strachan, Lori Lai, Louise Diskerud, as some of the very first facilitators we trained back in March and April of 2022. They facilitated the curriculum in a weekend last year in October, and you had Reverend Dr. Daniel Cantor kicking it off with a keynote. He is the minister at the First Unitarian Church of Dallas and has been a part of SACReD's work from the very beginning. After an initial small group went through the curriculum, a team from that women's rights group opened up that designation process to all of you through a series of town hall forums. And this year, on June 4th, you unanimously voted to affirm the SACReD principles and commitments and to become a SACReD congregation. Our plan has always been for the curriculum to serve as a discernment process, a way for the congregation to figure out where they want to get active in the movement for reproductive justice. We make spaces for folks to learn so that they are better resourced to support where they want to, in places like spiritual and community care, religious education on reproductive justice, including reproductive justice in worship, like we will today, direct service to patients and supporting clinics, as well as advocacy and community organizing. If you want to learn a little bit more of those action pieces, stay for lunch and I'll talk to you about them. But for right now, I invite anyone who is in that women's rights group, if you will come on up, I have got a gift for you. Is there anyone here? If they're not here, it's because they're getting ready for this luncheon happening later. So anyone who's here, come on up, come on up. Every congregation gets a plaque that says they are a SACReD congregation, that they create and hold space for courageous conversations free from shame, judgment, and stigma. So here, I would like to... Oh, wonderful, Louise.
Oh my gosh, what an honor. Galen is there. Just scoot over and get a photograph of all of you.
Congratulate yourself. You will find in your program there is a SACReD litany, so I invite you to join me in this responsive reading. We are SACReD congregations who gather to lift up the most vulnerable among us. SACReD congregations stand with Black Lives Matter and all immigrant communities. We affirm the lives of the LGBTQIA community. We recognize and affirm the value of every person, regardless of race, gender identity, nationality, or socioeconomic status, or disability status. We denounce the powers that be, that create divisions in which some access to what others take for granted. Sacred congregations seek to create a more just and inclusive world in which all can flourish and thrive. Our faiths teach us that we care for all, and that care includes support for people in need of reproductive care. We acknowledge all people in the US and abroad who do not have full access to reproductive health care services. Sacred congregations call for a religious and moral commitment to reproductive health and justice. We commit to teaching about reproductive freedom, displaying our commitment to reproductive dignity, and creating safer spaces for reproductive care. When people are denied comprehensive abortion care, they may forego food or shelter to pursue unsafe abortions that put their lives at risk. Sacred congregations will not be silent about reproductive dignity. We will use the word abortion, we will talk about it in our various worship services, and people in need of reproductive care will have a safer space to seek counsel. We know that protecting the rights of all requires our voice and our commitment. Sacred congregations make space for the disadvantaged to have a voice and pledge to work until all people have the reproductive health care they need and deserve. We are sacred congregations. Thank you.